Say shalom aleinu, le'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
Thank you to our cantorial soloists for opening the evening with the singing of Oseh Shalom as we continue to pray for peace. Good evening. I am Allie Rosenberg.
And I am Stacy Science. We are the co-chairs of the Town of Newcastle Holocaust and Human Rights Committee. It has been a full year since the horrific and brutal attacks of October 7th. As you know, on October 7th, Hamas murdered 1,200 innocent Israeli men, women, and children. Hamas raped women and men, boys and girls, and took 251 hostages. 101 hostages remain in captivity. We are here tonight to mourn the innocent lives that have been taken, to pray for the safe return of the hostages, and to hope for a better world where such heinous acts can never happen again. We are grateful to all of you for being here tonight, both in person and to those who are joining us on the live stream. It is during difficult times like these that community brings us comfort and gives us strength to believe in a better future.
In these dark times, we are lucky to have so many community partners who are supportive of Israel and the Jewish people. Some have even led and/or joined solidarity missions to Israel. I was honored to join one of these missions with Bet Torah in March and was able to see the devastation caused by Hamas firsthand. In Israel, I was inspired by, and I continue to be inspired by, our community leaders' ability to provide comfort for our Israeli brothers and sisters. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our incredible community partners, the members of the Town of Newcastle Holocaust and Human Rights Committee, the Newcastle Town Board, the Antioch Baptist Church, Bet Torah Synagogue, Congregation B'nai Yisrael, the Church of St. Mary the Virgin, the First Congregational Church in Chappaqua, Temple Bethel, Temple Shari Tefillah, Greeley's Jewish Student Union, and our co-sponsor, Greeley's Enough Club. This past year, we have seen anti-Semitism rise to levels none of us could have ever imagined. Just yesterday, the ADL reported that over 10,000 anti-Semitic incidents occurred during this last year, a 200% increase since last year. We witnessed these anti-Semitic acts in our cities, in our communities, and on our college campuses.
Despite this, we have hope. We have hope in you, our community that is united in its fight against hate. And we have hope in our youth. We have hope as we watch our co-sponsor, the students of Enough, continue their commitment to fight anti-Semitism and hate in all forms. It is now our honor to introduce the co-presidents of the Enough Club, Eva Millerman and Jared Science.
I am Eva Millerman.
And I am Jared Symes.
We are the co-presidents of the Horace Greeley High School Enough Club, which stands for Educate Now on Understanding Genocide and Hate. The mission of our club is to empower students to stand up to hate and to develop a community of acceptance through education and the understanding of people's differences. October 7th was the deadliest attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. We have seen anti-Semitism rise throughout our country and our world. This is why the students of Enough are committed to continuing to fight anti-Semitism and all hate wherever it arises by bringing speakers and educational programs like this evening to our fellow students and community members.
Today, Elie Wiesel's words echo louder than ever. Action is the only remedy to indifference, the most insidious danger of all. Tonight, we are honored to listen to Nova Music Festival survivor Maya Isochev, who is also the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor. Maya attended the Nova Music Festival to have fun and dance with her friends. However, at sunrise on October 7th, Hamas invaded the Nova Music Festival, brutally massacring 364 attendees and taking hostages. Tonight, our community will bear witness to Maya's trauma and harrowing story of survival. Maya's story serves as a powerful reminder of the strength of the human spirit that can emerge from the depths of tragedy. It is our honor to welcome Maya.
Wow. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I don't see most of the faces because it's super dark. Yeah, but I like you to know that I'm hugging each and every one of you, like you're going to hug me at the end. And I will share a little story of how I got here. It's my first time that I taken an Uber. Yeah, it was my first time. I downloaded the app. Eventually, I found a driver, and he asked me in the Uber if Maya is my real name. And I was like kind of surprised of the question, and I was like, yes. And he told me in what language. And I said Hebrew, but actually I had I had a trouble with my name. I couldn't agree with it. Only 2 years ago that I realized that in Nepali language it means love. And this has been the most hardest day because I always speak. Normally I disconnect from the story when I tell it, but today it's so hard for me to disconnect. I try so hard. I might not succeed, but it is what it is. So I'm always finishing in the message of love. And today is taking me the very last strengths of love that I have to share it with you. And as I sat down in an Uber, he asked me what language. And I said Hebrew, you know. Also in Arabic it means water, but in Nepali language, and he told me I'm Nepalian. I know what it means. It means love. It means love to your parents, love to your family, love. And this is exactly what I needed, you know, to share this love with you. So when I tell my story, I get disconnected, okay? I tell it like I've seen an episode of Fauda or some like, yeah, everybody knows what it is, or like a scary movie. So nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Maya. I'm 30 years old, which is kind of old in terms of festivals. So on the night of October 6th, I was working actually as a bouncer at the festival, along with 10 more friends of mine. Some were DJs, some were in the industry of the music, working in the company of Matan Lior, Sound Fanatic. He was murdered, but he had a company of the speakers and everything. Some of us were at the ticket booth, and we're all like working in the festival. And later on, we planned to go inside and have fun. The festival was supposed to go until 5 p.m. And I'm also part of the production. The Nova has been part of my family for the last 4 or 5 years, something like that. It started as a small group of people that just wanted to enjoy and have fun, and it just grew to this international crazy festival. There were people from all over the world. I check IDs of people from Brazil, people from Argentina, Russia, UK, US, even one woman from Georgia. The country, not the state. Yeah, so it was international festival, almost 4,000 people, something like that. And the night of October 6th, I was driving along with my friend Carmel. She's a single mom to 7-year-old now. And as we arrived to the festival, we were separated. She went to the ticket booth, and I went to the entrance to be a bouncer, along with my friend Shani Gabay, that she was murdered. So I worked since 10 p.m. until 6 a.m., right before everything started. So we worked 8 hours straight, and every time we were a little bit tired and wanted to get rest, all those kids came along. All of them went through me, and there were always sparkles in their eyes and colorful clothes and, all this kind of nonsense. Then you bring to a festival like some fake egg or fake phone. I don't know. Kids. So yeah, and it was the energy was so amazing. Every time I wanted to get tired, there was some kid comes along and screams like, "Oh, you're going to join us to the festival?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how can I say no to you?" And then at 5:30, 2 things happen. Our manager asked us, because the entrance were already kind of empty, so he asked me and Shani who wants to go to the festival first, and Shani was very eager to go to the festival, and I told her, go ahead. And on 5:30, Gal Gilboa Dalal entered the festival, childhood friend of mine and very dear friend, and also the brother of Guy Gilboa Dalal, which is still held in captivity in Gaza. I will introduce to you. Later on, I will show you his face. So 6, I finished my shift, and I start heading to the campsite area. Me and Eden were together, finished our shift. Eden was my roommate back at the time, and we start heading to the camp area. At this time, there was the most beautiful sunrise, and most of our friends were at the parking lot just to watch it because it was so beautiful. So there was only me and Eden in the camp area, and the only thing I did, 6:15, was change my shoes. I had a guardian angel that day that's every step in the road, he was just keeping me safe because I was wearing like big heel platform boots, so nobody would pass me. And the only thing I did was change my shoes to running sneakers, New Balance 530. It's not a commercial. It is what it is. So I changed my shoes to sneakers. Eventually, I find myself running for 13 miles, so you can imagine how it helped me. And then, after like 10 minutes, we heard that the speakers went off. They were like some weird noises, even before we saw the rockets, even before we heard the Tzeva Adom alerts. And I looked at Eden, and I was like, Eden, there is no way something wrong with the speakers. It's like the newest Void speakers or whatever. I'm not know much about this, but there is no way that there is something wrong with the speakers. What's going on? And then after 2 minutes, the music stopped, and we could hear it. In the southern of Israel, we're kind of used to rockets, so it's not a big deal. But the alarm sounds a bit different. It's like Tzeva Adom, red alert, red alert. And first we heard it, and then I looked up. And I saw, like, the amount was crazy. Normally it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tops, but it was like 30 rockets at the sky like every minute. So it was just like boom, 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 boom. The Iron Dome was like working nonstop. And I remember that Eden, I froze for a second, and Eden looked at me and she told me, "Oh, we can tell that you're not from the south, like we're used to it," and she's from Ashdod. And after a couple of minutes, thank God, but 3 of our friends, Lior, Ran, and Sagi is a close friend of mine, and we escaped together, ran towards us. And I remember that Lior, she just grabbed the seat underneath me as I was still sitting on the chair, and she just pulled it so I would get up. And I was like, "Lior, you can calm down, everything's okay." She was, "No, we're gonna stuck inside the traffic jam, we need to leave now." So at this point, the police officer, there was a special fences that they made for us to the festival because it's like an open field. So the police officers just opened up the fences in every way and allowed people to get out. So imagine the chaos of 4,000 people trying to run to the cars, because at this point the festival was already like at the highest. So we started running to the cars. I was kind of indifferent to the situation. We tried to hug people. You have to understand, those festivals is our way to see friends that we haven't seen for a very long time. It's from all over Israel. We don't meet that often, so the festivals is our way to see friends that we haven't met. So we try to see the friends that are running, to grab them, to say goodbye, to hug them. We didn't even know that it could be the last time. And at this point, it was about 6:40, 6:45, that me and Sagi were getting inside the car, along with Eden, my roommate. And Sagi was panicking very hard. He was like, "Maya, what are we doing? We need to get out. I don't know what to do." He was like having almost a panic attack. And I tried to get us out of the dirt roads. I'm not sure how many of you have seen the videos, but just open social media. So there is only one main road leading to the festival. All of the others are dirt roads, and people trying to get away from these dirt roads to this one main road. And Sagi was keep jumping out of the car and putting his hands over his head, like all the time. Those are the instructions in Israel to do if the rocket attack catches you on the road, because they are targeting main roads. So what you need to do is get as far away as you can from the car and put your hands over your head, so if there's shreds or something like that, so it wouldn't harm your head. So that was what Sagi was doing all along. He was jumping out of the car, going like out and in, out and in. I waited for him, but after it's already like 7:10, something like that, I realized that it's not going to help. So I screamed at him to get inside the car and to get out of there already, because it's not going to help. And at this point, Eden felt like she couldn't handle Sagi's stress and energy inside the car. So she went back to the festival area to be with her sister and her sister's husband. Back at the time, I didn't know what would be the consequences of that. Eden is fine, thank God. Eden had a huge miracle also for her sister and her sister's husband, Rita and Guy. They had a huge miracle, and me and Sagi would continue driving. So at about 7:10 minutes, 7:15, we started driving to the main road. I saw that from the left side there was a huge traffic jam of all of the cars, like trying to, for the left side it was the way to Tel Aviv. So all of the cars were on the left side, and from the right side it was wide open to the kibbutzes. So I thought that might as well I go to the right side. Maybe I move along, like somehow I can manage around the traffic jam and get us to center of Israel. Sagi is from Rishon LeZion, I'm from Tel Aviv, and we can make a way out of it. And after like 15 minutes of driving, 10, maybe 15 minutes, as Sagi keeps telling me like, maybe I should jump out, and I was like, no, we're just like a little bit arguing around the car. And then he screamed, "Maya, stop the car. Stop the car now!" And he screamed, and I froze, hit the brakes so hard, and I lifted my head up, and I saw that the two cars in front of me, I just like woke up from the trance of the driving or something like that, and as I looked up, I saw the two cars in front of me getting shot. And I realized that the small pack, there was a small pack sounds, that is automatic gun. And I realized that there are terrorists from both sides of the road, maybe 70, 100 meters in front of me, that's targeting the cars on the road. And I panicked and I hid under the wheel as Sagi opens the car door, and he ran right to the bomb shelter over him, the one with the bird on it. And I remember that I didn't know what to do, and I looked from the right side, and I saw Sagi at the entrance of the bomb shelter just telling me to get inside quickly. And I remember that I was thinking, if I die, I might as well die doing something and not hiding under the wheel. So I just ran to the bomb shelter with him, and it took my breath away because there were already 30, maybe 40 people inside the bomb shelter, screaming, praying for their lives, panicking, Shema Israel, Shema Israel. And up until then, I just didn't know what to do because the people were half and half. Some of the people were panicking, praying, freezing. While I was driving, I saw girls shaking and freezing. And from the other hand, I just saw people dancing in their cars, putting music. They were never going to beat us, and what a blast party! Making fun out of it. So you don't know really what you should pick. Should I panic? Should I not? So I decided. I think my mind just protected me to be indifferent to the situation. And I thought to myself in the bomb shelter, why are those people panicking about? There is a terrorist, and in my mind, I was combat soldier at artillery force. It was years ago, but we studied that if terrorists invade Israel, they come in squads of 4 and 5. So I thought that, okay, soon the police, the IDF, somebody is going to come and rescue us. So everything's going to be fine. Why people are panicking about? And as we heard, the rockets keep going on, and we heard the boom sounds all along, and the terrorists were approaching. Back at the time, I didn't know the huge amount that they were. And we stayed at the bomb shelter for 10 more minutes. So in about 7:45, I felt a hand grabbing me, because at the time, imagine how smart Sagi was, and I thought he was panicking. He went to the end of the bomb shelter, where the only living people were buried under dead bodies. So he went there, and I was in front of the bomb shelter. And after 5-10 minutes, I felt a hand grabbing my wrist, and he looked me in the eyes, and he told me, Maya, we're not staying here. And I looked at him, and I tried to talk sense into him and telling him that there are terrorists outside approaching, and there are rockets still going on, and we should stay in the bomb shelter because that's what it's supposed to do, to protect us from bomb. It's a shelter. And I'm so lucky that he just grabbed my hand, and the only thing he said is, Maya, we're not staying here. Maya, we're not staying here. He didn't even argue with me. He just said one sentence in Hebrew, lo nisharim kan, like a mantra, I don't know. And he just, Maya, we're not staying here. Maya, we're not staying here, as I'm trying to convince him to stay. And after a couple of minutes, he just grabbed my hand, and I was like, okay, I'll go with you, whatever you choose. And we ran again to the car under fire and everything, and we made a U-turn back to the traffic jam to the left side. And I remember that I looked right after my shoulder, on the right side, where the cars got back from the direction that we were supposed to go to. And I'm not sure how many of you, but this picture I really remember. I'm not sure how many of you know the picture of the lynch in Ramallah, with the bloody hands. So people were with the gun injuries inside the car, people with bloody hands, almost leaning from the window, begging us not to go there, with bloody hands like that, telling us, don't go there, shooting their terrorists. And I remember that I looked at the situation, and for me, maybe something, I don't know what happened, maybe somebody cut their leg or something. I couldn't, it didn't click yet. So we drove to the left side, another 10 more minutes. So we left the bomb shelter at about 7:45. For me, I just left the place I didn't know, I didn't realize what happened there. Only a few days after I received the video, and I just watched it obsessively, and I couldn't sleep. It was because for me the horrible thing was that the running and the bullets and the shooting and everything, which is like terrible enough, but what happened in the bomb shelter was I just couldn't sleep. So we continued driving to the left side, and we got stuck inside the traffic jam. At this point, Sagi opens the door, and he just started running. And in my mind, I'm still the logic one. I'm still the, I don't know, smart one. Like, I was thinking, how is he going to get to Rishon LeZion without a car? Is he going to run all the way to Rishon LeZion? I don't think so. So I'm the smart one, I'm the logic one, and I will get us out of here in the car, and I'll catch up with him later. And as I'm thinking that thought, and I'm trying to make my way to the other way of the road, a red car crosses me, and I will never forget this car in my life. It was a very small similarity to a car, because you only see this car in the movies or in the Nova exhibit. The car was filled with bullet holes. The hood was open like that. I don't even know how it happened. The car almost crashed a tree. All the windows were smashed. And the driver opens up the door, and she screams, please help me, please help me. They shot her. And I remember that I was like, what? And I lift myself up a little bit to look away from the windshield. And then I saw the other seat, the seat next to the driver, opens up, and she just screamed and fell to the ground. It was probably a gunshot in the head or in the neck. I don't know, because I saw so much blood, and she screamed and fell to the ground. And then it clicked. It clicked. Somebody screamed a tourniquet. In Hebrew, that's army military slang. It's chet ayin. And when I heard those words, finally it clicked. There is a situation, there are terrorists, and I realized that both ways are blocked, and I ran to the field. At this point, I have a blackout in my memory, which later on I spoke with my friend Nitzan, and I was sitting in a field like that, covering my eyes with my hands like that. So I don't know for how long, but imagine the luck I had. Out of 4,000 people that were in a festival, my dearest friend Nitzan, he was photographer at the festival, he just came towards me. And we're the only person in the field, and he just lifted me up. From this point, I already remember. And he wanted to get his photographing equipment from the car. He had like expensive photographing equipment. Can you imagine the equipment? So when I heard this, I grabbed him by the shoulders and I shook him as hard as I could. And I told him, Nitzi, they shot her, please, they shot her. And he has like a funny nickname for me. He calls me Kuchti. And he just trying to make me feel better. So he told me like, Kuchti, they shot who? Like, are you crazy? They shot who? But then he saw the look in my eyes, and I convinced him. There was not much speaking that I needed to do. I convinced him to make a U-turn, and we almost got to the field of the videos that everybody saw, I guess. If not, I can describe it, but it's just enough that you open the TV or social media. I think we're all traumatized by it, people that weren't even there. And I saw Sagi in one of the private cars. There were private cars that trying to make their way out of the field. It was a very hilly field, so in my mind, a car will never get out of there. And also in my mind, car equals death. Because I saw what happens in both of the roads, and I know that he will never make it in the car. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but I just went to the car. Thank God that he was sitting in the seat next to the driver, so I could see him from far away. I don't even know how I saw him, but I just grabbed him and I tried to pull him out of the car, because the car was like maybe 5 kilometers per hour. It wasn't even moving. So I tried to pull him out of the car as he tried to get me inside the car. And there was like a crazy moment that we're pulling each other, and then the driver screamed at us, "What's your decision? What do you decide? In or out? I need to go now." And I just like woke up again because you're kind of indifferent, but then you realize the situation, so you kind of connect and disconnect. So I pulled Sagi out. I told him what I saw in the car, and we started running. And I'm sure everybody's seen the videos, so I don't need to tell you how it looks like. I will share how it feels like. It's one of the darkest moments in my life because I'm a person that always wants to help. I don't know, when I see an old lady or even a bug, I think we all are, all the good people are. And at this point, I couldn't, I don't know, I wouldn't, I don't even know how to call it, but I didn't help anyone. And in my mind, I'm still thinking, oh, maybe they fell because it maybe just bruised their leg. I don't know, because I could hear the bullet, I could feel them, but still something about this disconnection maybe protected me, I don't know. So when we heard the bullets from the right side and we saw them, we just ran to the left side. We had no idea where we're running. We saw them from the left side, so we ran to the right side, and so it goes on for like 4.5 hours. The first 2-3 hours were the most crucial because they were like chasing us, and I couldn't understand because I just saw a squad of 4 or 5 terrorists. So how come they're chasing us so far? How come there are so many? And then I heard the rumors. First they were screaming, "They're in Be'eri, don't go there." So we did a U-turn, and then they screamed, "They're in Re'im, don't go there." And then we make a U-turn. And then I heard the most horrible thing. They're kidnapping. They're kidnapping. They're kidnapping. הם חוטפים, הם חוטפים, הם חוטפים, הם חוטפים, they're kidnapping. And the second that I heard this, there was one of the most terrifying moments because I remember that I told Sagi that I'd rather be dead than get raped, to be honest with you. And I might as well just stand here and wait for the bullet. And because we all know, back at my time when I was a combat soldier, women were not allowed into the Gaza borders or into Lebanon because of exactly those matters, and we were warned about this. So I told Sagi, and he told me, "Maya, we're not stopping. We're continue running." So I didn't even stop. You feel like an animal in National Geographic. It's crazy. Bless you. And then like half an hour before the kibbutz Patish. I don't even know which way we were running, so God was with me that day and with Sagi as well. And half an hour we were away from Patish, which is a kibbutz nearby. Back at the time, we didn't know, but there were 22 kibbutzes occupied already, so we could just run easily to every one of the kibbutzes. But we stayed at a greenhouse like half an hour from Patish, and there are volunteers from Patish that heard about what's going on. So there were a lot of volunteers in the fields trying to look for partygoers. So luckily for us, we met with one of the volunteers, and he walked us to Patish. And when we arrived to Patish, I had a chance to look at my phone a little bit, and I saw WhatsApp messages from Eden, and I realized what happened to people that stayed at the festival area. She was stuck inside of the ticket booth for 6-7 hours. She had a great miracle. Back at the time, I didn't know what's going on with her because she sent me pictures of her full with blood, and I didn't know if it was her blood or it was her sister's husband blood. What happened in the ticket booth, it's a small ticket booth, very similar to a bomb shelter, with 5 windows from each side. So the purpose of the ticket booth is after you go through me, the bouncer, you get a security check, how ironic, and then you get through the ticket booth with 5 windows from each side. So imagine if a terrorist is standing from the right side, he can just look through the window. There is no way to hide. But instead of looking in the window, they decided to shoot the whole thing from far, twice. So, and after 6 hours, lying like that in their own blood, in their own piss, there was one, I don't even know how to call it, person from Gaza, citizen or whatever, and he just came, he looked through the window, he saw them, and he stole their money and their phones. So, yeah, so the humanity to see people in such condition and steal. So that's why we didn't know what happened to Eden, because the last messages that I saw from her that she's covered with blood, and I don't know even whose blood, and she's telling me that they're shooting everyone there. And I was running and getting shot as well, so I didn't know even what to do. But then the bigger picture, I started to understand it. When we arrived to Patish, I remember that, we only discovered it a few days later, but Sagi twisted his ankle so badly that he couldn't move for 1 week. My whole legs were scratched, but we didn't even notice. We didn't even care. When we arrived to Patish, it was about 12:30, 1 p.m., something like that. And the people from Patish lied to us. They said that there was only like 80 terrorists, so we wouldn't panic that our friends are over there because we wanted to get back and save them. And the people from Patish arranged buses for us to Beersheba, which was kind of safe. And when we got to Beersheba, after we got to Patish, there was an attempt of terrorists to get there 15 minutes later, but thank God, because there were already like some forces there that understood, also like people from Patish, they couldn't succeed. And when we arrived to Beersheba, there was, I remember that I looked at the bus that they arranged for us, and all those beautiful kids that only a few hours ago just went through me, and you know, they were so young. I checked their IDs, and there was like 2004, and I was like, aren't you 6? You know, I'm not supposed to let you in. But yeah, it's 20. It's 20. Yeah, right. So all those kids, you know, the beautiful kids were sitting in the bus like refugees with torn clothes and shivering and scared. And there was one girl that her father drove from Rosh Hashanah, which is like 2 hours from there. And he drove like 200 kilometers per hour crossing red lights just to get his daughter. I didn't tell my parents where I was. They discovered later because I was in touch when I got to Patish. I was in touch with my sister. I didn't want them to know nothing, because I remember that Sagi's mother called him while we were running, and Sagi is a grieved family anyway. His father passed away like 1.5 years before October 7. And I remember that his mother called him on the way, and she asked him, my son, where are you? Are you okay? And he told her, Mom, I will talk to you if I'll make it out. And a woman that's constantly talking, constantly want to know where he is, what he's doing, why he's talking like... She just told him in Hebrew, keep yourself safe, my son. And he's the youngest. And when she said my son, when she said Ben Sheli, her voice broke down. And I knew that, first of all, I'm getting him home safe. Of course, he was smarter than me, and 10 times, like, he saw 10 steps ahead. I was 10 steps before. But we met in the exact middle, which is crazy. I knew that he's coming home, for sure, and I didn't want my parents to know where I was, only after they discovered. So we were in Beersheba, in that father's car. We were like 7 people, maybe 8 people inside a car. And he told us that he will get us safely to Rishon LeZion, hopefully. But first we need to stop and help their friends with their car. And I was like, okay, finally, a chance to help somebody. That's great, let's do it. And then we stopped next to the car. And to be honest with you, I don't even know how this car got them to Beersheba. And when I looked at the car, I realized what happened to the people that continue in the same route that we were supposed to go. Of course, the car was in no condition to drive, and windshields smashed, bullets everywhere, and the guy was obsessively circling around the car, trying to replace a tire or some. You can see that he was like obsessed with the car because it saved his life. Like I'm obsessed with the New Balance. I always have a pair with me. Seriously. So he was obsessed with the car, and I understood that there is nothing I can do for him, but I approached the girl that was sitting on the floor, like hugging her knees, and she was shaking. And I approached her and I asked her if there is something I can do to help. And she told me, just look at the seat where I was sitting. And of course the car was like in really bad shape, but the thing that got me is the bullet that was still stuck in the seat, like over here, still stuck. And I don't know how they are alive. Probably he was driving like that. So many miracles happened along the way. But that's when the bigger picture started to appear. And you think you've been through the worst, but then I got home. And we opened the Gaza Now Telegram. So the videos that are running right now in social media and on TV is maybe like 10 or 15% of what we saw in that week, in that day. We had to watch all the videos, all of them. I didn't have the privilege not to watch because one of them I might recognize my friends. I had a friend with a yellow shirt, and I remember that I zoomed in. There is a terrible video of Hamas terrorists taking this guy head off with a shovel, and I remember that I zoomed in to see if it's my friend. So we had no choice. And this is why I cannot watch them anymore. This is why every time that I see this on social media, it triggers me. And this also how we knew that guy was kidnapped. He's one of the first hostages videos that were published, along with Almog Mirjan and Bar Elkana and his friend Evyatar David. I will show him to you. He celebrated his 23rd birthday in captivity, and the only reason that Gal, my dear friend, my childhood friend, was there is to protect him and keep him safe at his first festival. And he was already kidnapped at 11 a.m., which Gal found out only like 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. when he arrived to one of the hospitals. And it's kind of crazy because I have today the recognition that is 1 year that I'm already living the same day in my head. So it is kind of hard for me, to wrap it up in a message of love, like how you do that. How we do that, but we do that. We have no choice. Because if we don't do that, and this is what happened to me the first 2 months, if we don't do that, we will fall. And we will fall hard to the black hearts that they have. And to be honest with you, I tried so hard not to remember the horrible videos. I just had to watch them because we might recognize our friends, but this is not what I remember. I remember our heroes. Always says some names. Liron Barda, that she stayed to save people in the ambulance. She was murdered. Shani Gabay, my friend, not knowing she saved so many people, she was murdered. Shai Shalev, he was the location guy, always picking the best locations for a festival. He was also murdered. Matan Kidol Malem was a DJ, also murdered in the ambulance. And I can just go on and on and on, but I remember them with a blessing. I remember their faces smiling, and we would remember the heroism. For example, Ben Shimoni, he went back. Sorry? That's my second cousin. Ben Shimoni? Yes. Oh my God. Wow. So first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. For those of you who don't know, Ben Shimoni went back 4 times to the festival area. He was already out, saving 20 people along with him. He went back 4 times, and in the 4th time he was murdered. Can you imagine the heroism? He just went to a festival and he already went out. He went out of there, but he went back, and in the 4th time, the terrorists got him, along with many, many heroes. But the important thing for me, like the message that I got on my way here, and the message that I get from meeting the people, like everybody's been so welcoming and so happy that I'm here, that it makes me feel happy that I'm here, because it was so difficult for me to see the love and the light. There is a Jewish blessing, Hagomel, that you do after you're saved from a terrible fate, and it took me 3 months to do it. And eventually, when I did it, I went to Sagi's father Bet Knesset, where he used to pray, and God was with me because one of the managers in the Knesset, the guys that collecting Gabay, the one that's collecting the money, he's one of the managers in my school, which I study industry and management. So God just brings the people to support all along the way, and as hard it is for me to feel the energy on October 7th, because I cannot believe that it's been a year, but I will still stand with a message of love, because if we don't send a message of love to our hostages and to each other, that's it for us, I think. And I think each and every one of us should take what happened as a secret superpower. That's what I do. That's my healing process for the last year, along with therapy, surfing, which I fall every time, and crazy things that I did. Also, sharing the story also helps. But this is the most important thing, I think. Take it as your superpower, because after what we've been through, after what we saw, I don't think something can piss you off on the road, right? I really don't think so. I don't think so. Small things, it's our superpower now, and we should take it and embrace it, and do small acts of kindness and share the love for each other, and that's the hugest power of all, I think. Thank you so much.
Hi.
I can't believe that we're making
This was not planned, but when she said Ben Shimoni, which is my second cousin related to my mom's family, I could not stay indifferent, and I had to shout, which is not so polite, but I'm Israeli, so that's the chutzpah. But what connects me to this community, I was in October 7th in Israel with my 4 children, and all my children go to West Orchard, to Bet Torah. They're age 8, 6, 4, and 1-year-old. And I want to also end, I am Batel Sultanic. My husband grew up here. He went to Greeley High School. So I'm so proud to see all of you. Just 2 words about my background, because I just couldn't stay indifferent when she said Ben Shimoni. I'm an ex-naval officer. I served in the Lebanon War, deputy commander of a missile vessel, first female to graduate Israel's Naval Academy, Kurs Chovlim.
Wow.
As I speak here,
Wow.
as I speak here today, my siblings, 5 siblings, are fighting in the air, in the land, and in the sea. All commanders and officers in the IDF defending. That's what we do. We defend. We're humanitarian. We have proportionality and necessity, and we are abide by those principles. And to just say one more word, there is a bright light at the end of the tunnel, and the bright is the civic connectivity in Israel, the resilience. That's what we see here. And the unwavering support of the United States of America and the town of Newcastle that have helped my family, Bet Torah, for instance. So thank you, and Am Israel Chai. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of being Jewish.
I talk about Ben Shimoni every time, just so you know, and I just, I almost forgot. So every time, we will remember everyone. Thank you. That's it.
It is our honor to introduce Alicia Sands, a longtime resident of Chappaqua, Alicia and her husband, Rob, are the parents of one Horace Greeley graduate and 3 current Horace Greeley students.
Alicia is a social worker in private practice with a master's degree from Columbia University. Alicia attended the University of Wisconsin-Madison for her undergraduate degree.
At Wisconsin, she became friends with John Poland and Hirsch Goldberg, Poland's father. We now invite Alicia up to share words of remembrance and hope.
I just wanted to thank Maya for sharing her story. I think she was so brave and you have a great spirit. You're very resilient. It's gonna slip up. Okay. Sorry, I have to put these on. As someone who doesn't relish public speaking, I kind of wish I weren't on this stage. But as a human being, I cannot believe there's a reason for me to be up here a year after the savage, unspeakable atrocities of October 7th. A year later, we're still waiting for 101 hostages brutally stolen from their lives and their loved ones to be returned. While I would love it if we could take the time to pay tribute to all those who were horrifically murdered that day and all 251 hostages, every innocent soul barbarically kidnapped, I am here today to specifically honor the memory of Hirsch Goldberg Poland. I think most people are aware of Hirsch's parents and their heroic efforts to free their son and the rest of the hostages. For almost a year, they were a voice for the voiceless, espousing acceptance, valuing community, finding commonalities, showing mutual respect, and embracing differences. Rachel Goldberg, even in indescribable pain, was always eloquent, poignant, full of kindness, grace, strength, and love. And John Poland, Hirsch's dad, my friend from college, while no one matched his calm under pressure, a quiet, intelligent, compassionate man, even in his darkest moments. In these months of despair and struggle, Rachel and John's hopefulness kept us hopeful. No one fought harder. No one was stronger than they were. They have been our courageous leaders, our beacons throughout this ordeal. While advocating for the release of their child, Rachel and John pointed out that when people really get to know one another, they find they agree on far more than they expected. That humankind is better served if our collective efforts were spent on illuminating and exploring these intersections rather than digging in and doing battle over our differences. They urged us to focus on our common humanity. We all hoped there would be a different ending for Hirsch. He was a warrior for peace. He believed all humans are equal. Yet he was kidnapped and maimed while attending a peace festival. He deserved a different outcome. Hirsch had hopes and dreams, but tragically they came to a violent end. However, Hirsch didn't hate. Rachel and John do not hate. Hating is easy. Listening, understanding, and showing compassion is much harder. Hirsch's life was short, but it was legendary. In Israel, there is now a bulletproof ambulance bearing Hirsch's name. The dedication says he was, quote, a man who believed in justice, aspired to understand all, and always respected others. Before I spoke at the vigil for the 6 hostages cruelly executed right prior to their rescue, I texted John and asked him what he'd like me to say. He encouraged me to share this story. A woman our age came to Shiva with a grown son, clearly autistic. She said, "This is Shai. He has severe social challenges, but we sent him to camp one summer. Hirsch was so kind to him." Shai, without making eye contact, then said, "Hirsch was very popular, but he was my friend." I don't think anyone here knew Hirsch personally, but we all came to know him through his adoring family's love. We all felt that love for 329 days, and the world loved Hirsch right along with them. He became our family too. We hoped and prayed right along with Rachel and John that Hirsch knew he was loved, that he would stay strong, that he would survive. For those who heard Hirsch's final video, It was as though he had heard them all those months in captivity. His words about surviving and staying strong were so eerily similar to their exhortations. If he didn't directly hear them, he surely felt their messages of love and devotion. He was resilient and courageous, just like his parents. When I texted John to ask him what I should say today, it was this: Hirsch was an American like any other citizen in this room, and still there remain 7 other American hostages in Gaza. While he feels words of sympathy from elected officials are nice and appreciated, they are not driving results. As John said to Time magazine, would the situation be different right now if leaders from those 39 nations the hostages hailed from stood in international solidarity and demanded their release? Would the world be different right now if there were more stories about the 101 hostages who remain in captivity on the worldwide nightly news? It feels as though the world has failed the hostages. We are so sorry, Hirsch. But the people who definitely did not fail him were his beloved family. From their palpable pain and from Hirsch's murder, let us come into the light. Let their suffering and all the suffering not be in vain. In his eulogy, John asked for Hirsch's death to be a revolution. May we do all that we can to use our energy to spread Hirsch's positivity, to ensure that his death is a revolution of moral clarity, a revolution that guides us to find a way to defeat hate, mistrust, corruption together, to find a way towards peace, kindness, justice, and hope.
I'm stealing attention real quickly because I forgot to say, what happened here, you cannot make these things up. But we also have link to donate to my community for the example, for the exhibit, so everybody could see what happened, for our healing community days, for programs, for therapy, for Nova House, that people can come every day, not just once a week. So if you guys want, you have a barcode at the entrance, whatever you like. Thank you so much. I love you.
We now invite Cantor Ezring and Cantor Sternberg, who will sing the prayer for the hostages.
We also invite members of the Jewish Student Union who will read the prayer for Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim matir asurim
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim matir Asurim.
Our God in heaven, rock and redeemer of the people, Israel, bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Shield it with your love. Spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them. Crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
We now invite Reverend Dr. Jacobs and Reverend Lee, who will share a reading.
Psalm 121. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come?
My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth.
He will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps.
The Lord is your guardian. The Lord is your protection at your right hand.
By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night.
The Lord will guard you from all harm. He will guard your life.
The Lord will guard your going and your coming now and forever. Amen.
At this time, we invite Westchester Shaliach, who is the youth representative from Israel, Eden Edrei, the Enough students, and the JSU students to join us. We light these memorial candles in memory of the innocent lives we have lost, and we pray for the safe return of all those still being held hostage in Gaza.
Hello everyone. My name is Eden, and I'm the Northern Westchester Shlicha on the behalf of the Jewish Agency for Israel. I moved here 1 year ago, just before the holidays and just before everything I knew changed. Everything I called home changed. 1 year, 365 days, 14 holidays. 1 year. It's been a year where I laughed, cried, missed home, returned home, missed New York, so returned to New York. A year when I fell in love, a year when my heart was broken. A year since this morning when everything changed. A year that it feels like every single minute it's still October 7. A year when I wake up every morning and nothing changed. We're still looking for our brothers and sisters. I will never forget that night. Between Friday and Saturday, I received thousands of messages from my friends and family about Hamas, terrorists in our South, our beautiful South. I hoped it was just a bad information, or maybe just a horrible, horrible dream. But sadly, as we all know, the harsh reality had not yet revealed. Thousands of images and videos and photos flooded the social media of soldiers and children and women and elderly going the worst of the worst. That night, I couldn't fall asleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the images and the videos, the blood. How could I fall asleep when my country, our country, was burning? The land of Israel, what I call home, is soaking with blood, my friend's blood. By Saturday morning, more and more and more names and stories came out to light. More missing people, more dead families, and more kidnaps. The numbers only groaned. In this morning, we received more and more names, and each of them made such a big hole in my heart, but I didn't know them until one name. One name that came, that it wasn't just another story. It wasn't just another family. It was my friends. When the war started, I had no doubt that by a month, maybe or two, it's going to be over, and we would be together again, and maybe even start to heal. But unfortunately, that wasn't the reality. It was far from that. The hostages are still hostages. My parents are still running to the safe room a few times a day. And my sister, that's usually a teacher, she's not a teacher anymore. She's not teaching anymore. She's in uniform, an officer, again. And my country, still bleeding. We haven't healed, and every day a new wound is opened. How can a wound heal when it's torn open again and again and again every day? Those of us who know me knows that I developed a hobby or an obsession. Every time, every night, around midnight, New York time, Israel will release the names of the fallen soldiers in Gaza. So every night, I used to refresh my page again and again and again until the names came out, just to make sure I don't familiar with the names, and even felt a relief, but then sadness and even a little bit of guilt. The time that has passed made me think a lot about what it means to be Jewish, and more than that, what it means to be Israeli. Every day for the past year, people asked me about how do you feel, and how's your family, and how's Israel? And I find myself wondering how to answer. If I'm gonna say that everything is fine and I'm okay, will be able to see the pain in my eyes? And if I'm gonna say that everything is terrible, will they be able to understand? In the past year, I discovered that our identity is layers of sadness and joy and love for our country. We're built from losing our friends and loving our friends. In Israel, in our Jewish culture, when someone died, we have a shiva. And when you go to shiva, you understand how big is your family, because this is Israel. We're all family. In this year, I learned what it means to be available 24/7 for maybe one messages from your friends in the front line, knowing that maybe, just maybe, they will have a short break just to text, "Hi, I'm alive." When I talk about my sister and brother, both of them are in the military right now, or just my friends, everyone says, "Oh, what a heroes." And all I can think about is, heroes? Are those the people with like capes and cool superpowers? Are they supposed to fly? But then I realized that my heroes don't wear capes or even fly. They're normal people. They wear regular clothes and have regular jobs, and when they needed them, they will put their special uniform and they will go save us, save me. But then I just smiled and said, yeah, they're fine. There's a quote by Marcus Kirkot, and it says, "The lives of those who are dead is placed in our memories. Us Israelis, we live together, we fall together, we hurt together, and we love together. But one thing about us is that we also hold hope together. And this is who we are." When I sat down to write a speech, I was wondering what would I say? How am I supposed to start? And more than that, how am I supposed to end? And with what message I want to send? And if there is one thing that burns inside me ever since then, and I'm trying to shout it in every stage I'm giving, it's that the fact that it's not just numbers, It's not just another story or boring history class. This is my present. This is my future, and this will always be a part of me, of us. Those are my generations. These are my classmates. This is my friend, boyfriend, or just my neighbor. Because in Israel, we all back one big family. I want to dedicate this moment, this stage, to Omri Lavi, Zichrono Livracha. Omri and I grew up together in Tzfat, in the same class. My mom was his teacher, and my sister and his brother were in the same classmate. Because in Israel, like in Israel, we all connected. Omri was a talented, beautiful redhead young man with many, 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 many things to share. He loved to paint, he loved to do graffiti, he loved to play basketball, he loved to practice material arts. Of course, he was a gamer and die-hard Maccabi Tel Aviv fan. In November 2016, Omri joined the Golani, Gdud 13. And everyone keeps talking about how special he was and how good of a commander he was. Omri was murdered on October 7 in the Nova. He was there with his friends to celebrate life, to joy and dance. Omri will forever remain 25. Behind those large numbers and stories, there are people and families that, yes, they are grieving and broken, but they're also so strong because they're trying to continue to memorize their lives. I want to ask you from this stage, from this opportunity, to read the stories, to choose one person that you will keep in your heart, in your thoughts, in your prayers, because the lives of the dead are placed in the memory of the living. I want to end with a spark of hope, hope that we will succeed in building a new life, that we'll continue to live and remember, it's never separated. To be Israeli, it's about believe, despite everything, that there is a better future, and together we can create this future. Thank you.
We now invite Rabbi Jaffe, Rabbi Linzer, Rabbi Lundy, and Rabbi Ross to lead us in the Mourner's Kaddish for October 7th.
This will be followed by a moment of silence.
This version of Mourner's Kaddish follows the structure of the Kaddish tome, for which we offer at Yom HaShoah, in which the different camps, the different ghettos are mentioned. Here we are including within Kaddish 10 of the different communities in Otef Aza, in the areas outside of Gaza, which were most affected.
Please join me. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabbah Alumim Be'eri Be'alma Divra Chirutei Erez Cholit V'yamlich Malchutei B'chayechon U'v'yomechon Keren Shalom Kfar Aza V'chaye D'chol Beit Yisrael Ksufim V'falasim
Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Nahal oz nativ ha'asara, Yehi shemei rabba merach le'olam al maya, nativ nir Yitzchak.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh nirim in the Nova Festival. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmid kudusha brichu ofakim re'im.
לעילה ולעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן, שדרות סופה. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן, יד מרדכי זיקים. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
We now invite the cantors up to sing Hatikva.
Hatikva is Israel's national anthem, which embodies a message of hope.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Victoria Tipp, your Town of Newcastle supervisor. In these moments, it's so important to remember who makes these moments possible, because it's in times of darkness that community is so important. So I'd like to actually start by thanking everyone in the audience today and all those who are listening at home at this live stream. Thank you for being with all of us today to help alleviate the darkness. I would like to first recognize Ali Rosenberg and Stacy Science, co-chairs of the Town of Newcastle Holocaust and Human Rights Committee, and all of the committee members. And also Ava Millerman and Jared Science, co-presidents of the Enough Club, and all the members of the Enough Club. Thank you for making tonight possible and for your consistently outstanding work to help us navigate these extremely difficult times. I especially want to express our profound gratitude to our keynote speaker, Maya Izuchiev, who traveled all the way from Israel to be with us. And I know that it was so hard, and it is so hard for you to continue to tell your story. But it's a true devotion to the act of bearing witness. And bearing witness is essential to our humanity and to help us remember, because as someone was saying, there are layers of remembrance, and I think we're all continuing to process. And as we hear from those who have direct experience, we can continue to add those layers for ourselves and for history. Thank you to Newcastle resident Alicia Sands for sharing your personal reflections and memories. And I also thank Eden Adre, the Westchester Youth Representative. Your presence and your words are so meaningful. Thank you to the rabbis, cantors, reverends, and JSU students for the beauty of your words and song. And also, from the Town of Newcastle, I want to thank those who worked on all the logistics to make tonight possible. Jill Shapiro, our town administrator, and Lauren Cascone, her assistant. Carrie Krams, executive director of NCCMC, who made the live streaming of this event possible. Michelle Gregson, chair of Friends of Chappaqua, and Lisa Tizzo and Victor Lucas on staff at Chappaqua. And our chief of police, Jim Carroll, and the Newcastle Police Department. As we conclude the program, I will share what I've read of Elie Wiesel's 2 favorite words. Those words are, and yet. He reflects on these words on his book, All Rivers Run to the Sea. And yet are words of resilience and hope. In the darkest of times, the human spirit can still say, and yet. So let's retain our faith that the hostages know we have not forgotten them and that we stand by them by not losing our own hope. We have seen the depths of humanity's evils, and yet we continue to stand strong against it. And yet we continue to have faith in humanity's capacity for goodness, virtue, compassion, and as Maya has so eloquently shown us, love. And yet we continue to demand of the world, bring them home. And now I'd like to reintroduce Ava Millerman and Jared Science for some final words.
As you leave the chat pack, enough students will be handing out these packets of seeds. Take action to plant these seeds now, as they will bloom in the spring.
The seeds serve as a reminder that even when the world feels dark, we must continue to look for light within each other and know that together we can triumph over hate.
Thank you for joining us this evening.